Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? All right, for as long as I've been doing YouTube videos, almost, I would say in the beginning when I started doing YouTube videos, I was a supporter of cryptos. I had some concerns, but I did support them. My concerns when I first started out were China controlled too much Bitcoin. And at any time, they could just dump them on the market and crash the entire market. The other concern was people could hack your Bitcoins or any of your cryptos and take them. The other issue that I had was eventually they would be regulated and forced to start paying taxes on them. The other issue that I had is at any time the government could stop you from using cryptos. And ever since I first started my YouTube channel, I watched all of my concerns play out in real time. When China claimed to be pulling out of cryptos and making it illegal for miners to mine, we saw a pretty good crash on cryptos. It didn't end cryptos, but it was a pretty good significant loss in value. I've since learned not only could people hack into your crypto and steal them from you, but they can hack into the very things that people swore up and down could not be hacked, such as blockchain, and steal your cryptos. Eventually, the government started filing lawsuits, or I should say the SEC filed lawsuits against certain crypto companies, causing them to drop in value. Then they started regulating cryptocurrencies. All the things that I was concerned about were playing out in real time. I told you eventually the government was going to find a way to either make cryptos illegal and end them altogether around the world, or they would find a way to control them altogether. No, Pimpy, that's not going to happen. No, that will never happen. Oh, it's happening. I told you they do not want any, and I mean any cryptocurrencies competing with their central bank digital currency. I was told when cryptos first came out originally, it was the people's way of sticking their finger to the government, finding a way to be fiscally responsible, and staying out of control of the government, and getting away from those evil bankers. Then all of a sudden I find crypto people cheering on when large institutions started buying and investing into cryptos. The very people that we were supposed to be sticking the middle finger to. The central banks, big institutions, everybody clapping, oh yeah, this is good. I was like, what do you mean this is good? Remember, no taxes, peer-to-peer, total anonymity, the freedom away from the very criminals who are now their bed buddies. Oh no, man, this is great, man. This is really going to take it to the moon. No. That was never their intention to let cryptos grow. And now I'm going to show you exactly how this is going to become the end of crypto. Right there at the very top of that picture. See it? EFT. All you people out there celebrating, yeah, XRP to the moon. Ethereum, Bitcoin to the moon. Not for you. I told you this. And even if the powers that be allowed you to make any kind of money off these cryptos, and then as soon as you got it, they're going to snatch it right back from you. That's always been their intention. Total control of your life is what they want. And now I'm going to make the case more than ever why you should be investing into gold and silver and not cryptocurrencies. So let's get into this. Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Miles Franklin. The link will be down below in the description. When you make your purchase, make sure you use promo code Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and they'll take care of you. If you have any additional questions, you can reach us over here at this phone number or over here at this particular email. For all orders over $10,000, reach out by email and we'll make sure that you get a great deal. So come on over to Miles Franklin and add to your precious metal inventory. So first things first, I'm going to show you how you hack into blockchain. I remember bringing this up to Rice. You guys remember Rice TV? Used to be Rice Crypto. I told Rice, people can hack into these blockchains and swipe cryptocurrencies. He said, no, man, they got the SHA-256. The government uses it. You can't hack into it. I said, I had a guy named Gunther on my show who showed everybody how to hack into it, and he did. And then he had the way to do it right on the screen. He says, I won't show you how to operate it, but this is how you hack into SHA-256. but he said he had a resolution. So let's go ahead and listen to Gunther explain to people how it is you hack on the blockchain.
Bitcoin is not the future of cryptocurrencies, okay? I don't care what anybody says. And I can mathematically prove it to you. I'll do it in this presentation, but that's just a fact. I'm going to lay out the fundamentals for you. By the time we're done with this discussion, you'll probably have a good idea of what an asset-backed cryptocurrency is.
Okay.
So that's the term, asset-backed cryptocurrency. I'm talking about encrypted money or encrypted currency, sound currency that is backed or represents a real asset. And I will show you what that looks like. That's really important. So when things are transparent, transparency is key. It's actually secure because there's no counterparty risk. You and I are exchanging something. I know you, you know me. Our identities are verified. Okay, we make it an exchange, and even though we'll hide some of that information, the actual transaction could go on a private ledger with a private key. At least our interaction has been transparently ledgered. Sure. This is not happening overall, right? This is the problem with finance in general, and this is what we need to change. So the other thing that's really important here, and this is part of the reason why things like the Bitcoin blockchain have a lot of problems, okay? Ethereum's a little bit different. Layer 2 has already come out. Groups started we started developing on that last year. Ethereum is an excellent developer network, very different in terms of proof of stake versus proof of work. But in general, the more nodes you have in a crypto network, the weaker the network becomes. Doesn't matter if you're forking or coin halving or splitting or doing any of those things. That's a fact. And the reason why is because with the mathematics behind most crypto networks, you need provable collisions, okay? Provable collisioning is the way that you substantiate and you support network transactions, okay? That's basically the litmus test. So when you're talking about SHAs, so SHA-256 is the Bitcoin blockchain. You have SHA-1, SHA-2, and SHA-3. Now with SHA-3, and I'll show you what this means, you have multiple attribution and no need for mining. You don't need to mine, right? So it's so funny how people are talking about Bitcoin mining and saving on energy. And it's like, dude, you don't need to use those relative consensus mechanisms. You don't need to use those mining mechanisms because you don't have to mine with the evolved protocols. So basically, what's happening is you've got different hash sizes and blocks, and they do things like squeezing bits and bytes and all that stuff. So all of these protocols are evolving, but they're evolving away from mining, right? They're getting more advanced over time. And the reality is you don't need to mine. It's just bottom line. Now with NFTs, for example, we mint. So we can mint on a factory. We can reduce or remove transaction costs, even though there's gas fees on Ethereum, for example, but there's workarounds for that, things like that. So anyways, this is all moving very fast away from the notions of a Bitcoin blockchain or a Bitcoin or a Lightning network or any of that stuff. Okay, so with crypto networks in general, you've got throttled transaction speeds and poor node configuration and trustless issues, all this stuff I mentioned, which leads to things like crypto hacking. And I'm telling you, when people say that the blockchain can't be hacked or Bitcoin can't be hacked, that's complete nonsense. I'm gonna explain to you what we're looking at. Here is the Bitcoin math problem. It's called an NP problem or an NP hard problem, which involves what's called non-deterministic polynomial time. Okay, in removing the technical jargon, all right, what that means is you have a set of 7 or 8 linear math problems that are very complex, which apparently can't be solved by a linear solution. So, for example, if you were to try to solve a meet-in-the-middle attack on SHA-256, it would take you like, I don't know, 100 years or 1,000 years to solve it in a linear way. Well, the reality is you don't solve linear math problems in a linear way. You solve it in a nonlinear way, right? So this is an example of nonlinear factorization called superprime factoring. And in essence, what we do is we take the number of linear operations in a pre-image or meet-in-the-middle attack on a SHA-256, which is the Bitcoin blockchain, and we say, okay, How many linear operations are there? What is the super prime? And how do we get to a deficient natural number that is larger than the sum of its proper divisors? Now, I'm not going to show anybody how to run these operations, but this is literally how you hack SHA-256. This is how you do it, okay? I had a kid try to steal my crypto. I don't store any of my crypto online. I put it in cold storage wallets, right? But he got my email. He hacked into my AT&T stuff, got my stuff. They pulled out my SIM card. They were going to try to go in. And when I talked to the DA in New York, he's like, oh yeah, we were able to track all this stuff. And they were even able to track even the pseudo-anonymous transactions on the SHA-2 blockchain, right? It's totally fallacy to say that you can't track people's movements through this system, that you can hack it. There's any number of ways to do it, but you do it primarily through nonlinear factors. The NP problem behind Bitcoin inevitably takes it to zero.
I'll back it up just a little bit, but he's showing you right here. This is how you hack into blockchain and Bitcoin. Like he said, he's not going to show you how to operate it, but that's how you do it. Him telling you the story about the kid that tried to steal his crypto is for a reason. When they talked to the police were able to track everything online regarding the crypto, even things that were supposed to be anonymous, even pseudo-anonymous. I had a video that I played one time and showed everybody that the Secret Service had a division in where they track all the crypto on blockchain. Remember, it's supposed to be total anonymity. And then the Secret Service man said, we are the ones that created blockchain. Of course we could track everything. That's what he said. We created blockchain technology. These are not all the stories that were told. And I said to everybody, I keep telling you, when it comes to disruptive technology, they introduce it in a way that looks like it's away from the government, that some kid sitting in a garage, all of a sudden, presto, came up with this genius idea, and the government can't get involved and doesn't know how to track you. It's all bullshit. It's very rare to ever see actual disruptive technology that the government hasn't already tinkered with, played with, figured it out, knows how to manipulate it, knows everything about it before it's even released. And that includes crypto.
Inevitably takes it to zero because zero is infinity, right? There's no top and there's also no floor to Bitcoin pricing. So at some point it's going to go to zero. That's the way it's mathematically constructed. So what you want, this is a hashing mechanism I developed called holonomials, and it's quantum fault tolerant and resistant. What do I mean by that? When the level of transactions exceeds what the network can hold, and we need to be able to slow down them using super prime or root prime factoring, and we can create a 1-bit succinct binary representation of those numbers. This is what this looks like in terms of blocks. Then we have something that can protect at the encryption level the transactions that are happening in a network. And this happens also at a node. So we built our technology with Rare on nodes, okay? And everything is going node level, but we have node level autonomy. So that node has the same computing capability of an entire network in that one node. That's where this is going.
So you see here, it's quantum fault tolerant and resistant. In other words, they're creating a blockchain that is protected even against the greatest computers out there. We're talking about the quantum computer. So that was Gunther Sonnenfeld. I'm going to reach out to him and see if I can get him back on again and see if we might be able to do a live show where people can ask him questions. That, or maybe I'll hit up Rice and see if he wants to do an interview together, because Rice is a lot more knowledgeable about the operating and ins and outs of crypto. And I'm sure he has a lot of questions he'd like to ask versus me. I know a lot more on the investment side than anything else. All right, so yes, blockchain and cryptos can be hacked. Now, I'm going to play Whitney Webb. She hands down is the greatest investigative journalist out there. She doesn't just cover cryptos. She's covering, everything. Epstein situations, government corruptions, banking corruption, crypto industry, gold, silver, all of it. Here she's going to remind everybody why it is we got into cryptocurrencies and why institutions buying into cryptos is a bad thing.
The conflict here, as I see it, is why was Bitcoin originally made? You know, from what how it's been portrayed, right? It was created as a tool of financial freedom to prevent fiscal irresponsibility on the part of central banks and also commercial banks as a response to things like the 2008 financial crisis. Okay. So what happens when the same powers that Bitcoin was created to thwart start using it to continue their bad behavior? Is it still a tool for financial freedom then, or has it become a tool of the same people it was created to fight against?
Exactly.
This is a real discussion that needs to happen in the Bitcoin space. It is happening to a degree, arguably not enough. I think a lot of people, can get kind of googly-eyed thinking like, oh, wow, what if Bitcoin goes above $200,000? Like, and all of this stuff. Like, okay, well, it's great that you might have, a higher net worth, but in a lot of the cases where like Bitcoin would be projected to reach astronomical sums, that means like the dollar and like other currencies widely in use become like insanely devalued. So like, okay, if a loaf of bread is worth like $300 because like helicopter money in the US has happened and it's like hyperinflation, and you have Bitcoin, like you might have like a lot of, it looks like you have a lot of money in your account, but in terms of purchasing power, like you basically have the same lifestyle you have now.
Yes, exactly. I said, all you people out there celebrating, yeah, what happens if my crypto gets up to there? I was like, sure, at the moment, you might get a lot of money, but the government is going to find a way to take that from you. And she makes a perfect point. If all of a sudden currencies around the world start to become devalued, what are you going to turn around and exchange your crypto for? Sure, a loaf of bread right now might be $3, $4 a loaf, but if it gets super inflated, let's say it goes up to $300 a loaf, and don't say it can't happen because it's happened. Venezuela, Zimbabwe, those places. So basically, all the money looks good in your account, but its equivalency to purchasing power is the same as where we are today. You haven't gained any wealth whatsoever. And now because you invested in cryptocurrencies, you gave them the money to turn around and use against you as a weapon. Now they've created central bank digital currencies from the very money you bought into cryptos with. XRP, XLM, all of those cryptos that everybody was celebrating. Hey, they're ISO 222. They're going to go to the moon. Isn't that what they tell you? Yeah, XRP, what's that guy's name? Dave Lion Dave, whatever his lion ass is. Anyways, telling everybody that XRP is going to go to $500,000. And he's got this crazy mathematical reason why. It's bullshit. You can look at this either way. One, you got everybody putting money into XRP, and then XRP is taking that money and helping the very people that we are supposed to be fighting against create a digital currency that they're going to use to enslave every man, woman, and child. So congratulations, you helped them develop that by investing into those cryptos. Even if your crypto did go up to $500,000, like Whitney Webb just said, what good is it? If your money becomes hyperinflated and the loaf of bread shoots up to $300, essentially you're living the same lifestyle as you are today. You've gained no wealth. All you gained in was value, but there's no wealth.
But everyone else around you is dirt poor and has nothing. Like, is that a scenario to be like cheered on? I don't think so. Bitcoin's supposed to be ideal money, right? And a tool of financial freedom. And if we let the people that have run this insane monetary casino for decades use Bitcoin for their ends, Bitcoin will cease to be that, period. I also think there's a side effort too, and I think it's very obvious, or should be very obvious to people in the space, to criminalize privacy enhancing tools for Bitcoin transactions. They want Bitcoin transactions, those that they allow to happen, to be completely surveillable. They don't want financial privacy, which is part of this push for bank issued stable coins and deposit tokens and CBDCs, is all about knowing everything about the flow of money.
One of my concerns was government would get involved. All that total anonymity and being invisible would disappear because the government would force it onto the crypto market. And everybody's like, no, Pimpy, man, that's not going to happen. You heard what she said. They're going to make it happen. And it's not just here in the United States. This is worldwide. Until you guys wake up and realize what we're really up against, you're never going to understand the real problem that you're going to have with cryptos and why investing into them is a bad move. Sure, you might get a bump. You can make a little money if you're smart enough to get in and get out. But like I said before, the fact that you're invested into cryptos is giving the very people that we're fighting against the money that they need to enslave every man, woman, and child. So is it worth it? So now you got all these people on social media jumping up and down. Oh my God, BlackRock's involved with Bitcoin. State Street involved with cryptocurrencies. Yeah, to the moon. We're going to get rich. Yeah. And I said, no. Them people being your bed buddies is not okay. These are the same people that want to destroy the crypto market. So why the hell are you celebrating this? I believe on my thumbnail I put EFT, did I? Yeah, it's ETFs. All right, my screw up. Anyways, this isn't good, you guys. Do you understand what an ETF is? We know from the gold and silver side what it is. It's these big institutions' way of possessing and owning the product and selling you into the product with never having to give it up. That's what BlackRock, State Street, and all of them are doing. They have XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin. They are controlling and owning all of the actual cryptocurrencies, but then they're going to turn around and sell you the paper version of it. And since these people hate cryptos, what do you think they're going to do with the actual cryptocurrencies that you'll never have? You'll think you own part of the crypto, but you won't. It's only paper. They're going to drive the value of the cryptos all the way down to zero. If they own most of, if not all of, the Bitcoin, eventually what's going to happen is they could drive the value so low on the Bitcoin that it's not even affordable to mine it anymore. And if nobody's mining it, how are the transactions going to take place? In addition to that, if they close down the exchanges and you have a cold wallet and you have your Bitcoin in there, what does that mean? You can't exchange your crypto for your money anymore because the banks have now outlawed it. That means the only way you can use your Bitcoin is if you transact with somebody else that has Bitcoin or somebody else that uses Bitcoin. You got to hope to find a store that will allow you to use it, which if they make it illegal, stores won't be able to use it. That means only you and other people that have Bitcoin can transact between each other. For what? Just because? Look, I got a Bitcoin. You want one? Yeah, I'll take one. What are you buying for it? What are you getting of value? Can't eat food with it because you can't use it at a store. This is why it's a bad idea for big institutions to be buying into cryptocurrencies because they're rich enough to buy them all. And sure, some of you out there are going to hold out and you're going to have some. Congratulations. But once they know they control it all, they're going to drive the value down. And they're going to do it through ETFs, essentially ending cryptocurrencies. So sure, there will be a bump. And they'll just be sitting there, saliva coming out of their mouth, rubbing their hands together going, we got you. Now that you bought into the cryptos, they're going to suck all of the liquidity right out of the market. They'll control all of the crypto. They can get you to give them money for a piece of paper that says that you own part of that crypto. You won't control it. You'll have a piece of the cryptocurrency that is reflected on ETF paperwork. That's it. You won't actually own the cryptocurrencies. That's why I kept saying, why do people want to buy in ETFs? Just go to the crypto exchanges and get the crypto yourself. You don't need to buy an ETF. So once they suck all the liquidity right out of the market, what do you think is going to happen to cryptos? They're going to crash. So you have all those crypto people out there like Michael Saylor, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, all saying this is the way to go. Max Kaiser out there, yay, this is the way to go. Now I'm starting to really question their motivation behind what they're doing. Sure, they might believe in those cryptocurrencies, but man, are they in for a rude awakening once all liquidity is sucked out of the market. BlackRock will completely destroy Bitcoin. BlackRock is a company that controls $7.8 trillion worth of investment. If you put State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock together, the amount of money that they manage is more than half of our GDP. This is Arthur Hayes. In this article, he's explaining exactly what I just said to you. How these institutions are buying up the cryptocurrencies, physically holding them, but releasing ETFs. Once they control them, they have the ability to take the liquidity right out of the market and crash in the whole crypto world. I'll leave a link for you to read this. Don't take it from me. Here's Ryan Scribner, I believe is how his name is pronounced. He's going to review the very article that I was talking about. Listen to how he describes it.
Institutional investors like BlackRock have been quietly accumulating assets behind the scenes, and this could pose a significant threat to Bitcoin. But this article that just came out from Forbes should concern anyone who has cryptocurrency holdings. Arthur Hayes, a cryptocurrency expert, recently wrote an essay regarding potential concerns about BlackRock and their Bitcoin ETF they're trying to get approved by the Securities and Exchange Commission. While some feel that BlackRock is simply getting with the times, Hayes has a different perspective. And instead of this being a benefit to Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency community overall, Hayes thinks this could potentially be the end of Bitcoin as we know it. So is this actually possible then? Is BlackRock really trying to accumulate all this Bitcoin to then destroy Bitcoin? We're going to be answering that very question. First of all, let's talk about the BlackRock ETF. BlackRock has been actively seeking approval from the SEC for a Bitcoin ETF or exchange traded fund. As a result, if BlackRock got approval for a Bitcoin ETF that could trade on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, that would open up a wide range of new potential buyers. And this could all be done through their current brokerage platform, which would also give investors pass-through SIPC insurance. Meanwhile, currently through crypto exchanges and cold wallets, there's no widespread insurance that exists. The bullish case here is that this could unleash a brand new wave of buyers for Bitcoin, pushing the price higher. But what about the bearish case here of BlackRock potentially trying to destroy Bitcoin? Well, here's what Hayes, the crypto expert, said in his essay published a few days ago that was summarized by Forbes. BlackRock would overnight potentially become the biggest Bitcoin buyer in the world, but the value of Bitcoin itself at least partially comes from the decentralized nature of the network. So this could actually be a huge problem if you have one massive player controlling the market. Hayes suggested that if BlackRock vacuumed up most or all of the liquidity available in the Bitcoin network, this could potentially cause a huge drop in the number of transactions taking place. Because BlackRock wouldn't be looking to sell the Bitcoin, they just want to hold it and then offer people the avenue of buying it through their ETF. As a result, Bitcoin miners or these network validators would no longer be making anywhere near as much as they were prior, and this could potentially mean it's no longer economically viable to be a network validator or Bitcoin miner, potentially pushing tons of these Bitcoin miners out of the network, making it far less decentralized and potentially even unstable. However, there's one more crucial factor here that must be understood, and that is the block reward halving event, which is coming in April of 2024. The entire decentralized network of Bitcoin relies on these validators called miners, and they're receiving a small amount of Bitcoin for solving complicated math problems on very expensive computer rigs, which are in turn validating and facilitating Bitcoin transactions. Through this process, in a decentralized manner all over the world, these validators are mining for this Bitcoin reward, and that is going to be cut in half come April. Now, this is nothing out of the ordinary. In fact, it happens roughly every 4 years, the last time being around May of 2020. And this is all pre-programmed based on how Bitcoin works. There's nothing that's going to possibly change it. It's a matter of fact it's going to happen. This is supposed to create a healthy level of constriction on that new supply of Bitcoin hitting the market, and in turn, that should correspond to a higher price for the Bitcoins currently available, as the new supply coming to the market was just cut in half. And so long as the price of Bitcoin continues to go up and transactions are taking place, it should be economically viable for these network validators to continue mining for Bitcoin, even with this blockchain reward halving. However, there's this potential doomsday where BlackRock may be trying to centralize and control Bitcoin, coinciding with the blockchain reward halving. Let's go back to the line of thinking in that earlier essay from the crypto expert Arthur Hayes. If BlackRock gets their Bitcoin ETF approved and potentially dries up all of the liquidity in the market, as we said, transactions would plummet because they're just going to be sitting idly on most of the Bitcoin, if not all that they can get their hands on. So let's say that takes place, and then a few months later, we have the blockchain reward halving, which would take those already struggling miners and then cut their very incentive in half. In an ideal scenario, the Bitcoin ETF, which may or may not be approved, could be a positive catalyst as it could bring a whole new wave of buyers into the market. And if that pushes the price higher, that will definitely support us through the block reward halving, meaning that the network validators or miners are still able to earn a healthy profit. But seeing as the concerns of Hayes and others are real and BlackRock could threaten the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, I think it's important to understand what the concerns were here.
Mr. McGuire himself. Now let me show you why it is you should be invested in the gold and silver. Not the ETFs, but the physical gold and silver. Because when you buy it, it comes to your house. You personally own it. You physically have it. Nobody can control it but you. I know people keep saying, well, the government can confiscate it. They don't have the manpower to go door to door trying to confiscate everybody's gold and silver. But even if they try to, you can always hide it one place or another. The point is, you have it, you own it, you control it. But let's continue.
We're definitely looking at the likelihood of the de-dollarization process primarily related to gold coming to a head where we also see that there's so much physical gold has been accumulated by the Sino-Russia alliance that you could actually then, they're in a position where multiples of what is owned by the West is owned by the global South, who want to actually de-sanction themselves. And the gold price revaluation even is for, we believe that Saxo Bank, who is Ole Hansen, and these people are highly respected in my view. These are the people that are very pragmatic. They're not chasing anything. They simply say $3,000 gold is where it should be. And these are very pragmatic people. We also believe that a gold price revaluation, once it's triggered, and it will be triggered, it won't be triggered from the West, it'll be triggered from the East. It'll force every other bank who all have a gold revaluation account to immediately sell and buy back at market and revalue at what will be the price determined by this massive, massive powerhouse. And what's that going to do to silver? And this is the point.
Right.
This is the interesting part. And this is the part that really concentrating on is that what that will do is implode the ratio trade. It is who in their right mind, there'll be such a scramble to exit that trade, which is really the cause of 90-1. It's ludicrous. I mean, this is where all this synthetic action, nothing real in that ratio trade is not, there's nothing real about it. It's pure synthetics. And you just talked about, lower, it's probably 8-1 is the real sort of level. A revaluation in gold is going to put silver at $200.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Because $35 is going to blow every single technical resistance level out. I mean, it's to me, this is where we're looking in 2024. Mm-hmm. $3,000 gold is going to drag silver up by its socks.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think silver investors in particular, we focus on a lot of the silver specific fundamentals, but we forget about the fact that, like you said, if gold is revalued, if gold is allowed to get to its natural price, that it will bring silver with it, number one, and that silver, I like to joke around and call silver, gold's the big brother and silver is the overly dramatic little sister or little brother that could really skyrocket.
That's what I used to say. I said gold is like the big brother and silver is like the hyperactive kid that's hyped up on sugar. His value shoots up and down a little bit quicker than gold does. Okay, you guys will hear me talk about this all the time, the gold to silver ratio. Right now, it's 88.25. This is way ridiculous. What they're trying to say is it'll take 88.25 ounces of silver to be equivalent to the value of gold. This ratio is way out of whack. And I showed everybody how you can make money just trading on the ratios. And what I showed everybody was right about here. When the market started to crash from the RONA, look at this, 124 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. And I told everybody, let me show you how you can make money. In this case, the example that I gave is I used 10 ounces of gold. I exchanged my 10 ounces of gold for 1,240 ounces of silver. Since the ratio is 124 to 1, that would be the equivalent. My 10 ounces of gold would equal 1,240 ounces of silver. That was in March of 2020. Then all of a sudden, it was less than 9 months. As a matter of fact, it was about 6 months later. The ratio dropped down to 69 to 1. From 124, it dropped all the way down to 69 to 1. I said, then you take those same 1,240 ounces of silver and trade it back for gold. So from the peak, when you took your 10 ounces and traded it for 1,240 ounces of silver, when it dropped out, not here. If you'd have waited to here, you'd have made a lot more. But here, in September of 2020, 6 months later, then you turn around and exchange your silver for gold. It only costs you 69 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. All you do is take that 1,240 ounces of silver that you got for your 10 ounces of gold, divided by 69, you got back 17.97 ounces, 18 ounces of gold. So basically, you gained 8 ounces of gold just by trading your gold in for silver, then your silver in for gold. That's why it's important to pay attention to the gold-silver ratio. That's exactly what Mr. McGuire and the other gentlemen were talking about. Every time gold is revalued and it shoots up, silver comes along with it. Historically, it's been 15 to 1. Now again, this is a hypothetical. We have no idea whether or not they're going to go back to the gold standard or whether or not they're going to just revalue, forget the gold standard, although we would love that because that limits the power of the government, but it'd definitely be much higher than where it is now. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think. I look forward to hearing from you. That's it for now. I'm out.